My name is Jack. After mustering the courage, I've decided to share my unsettling tale online. It wasn't an easy decision, but recent accounts of terrifying encounters with non-human entities aboard passenger planes have compelled me to come forward. I can't shake the feeling that I'm not alone in my experiences, and I'm desperate to connect with others who may have witnessed the same inexplicable phenomena and seen the same strange things that I have seen. It happened about 3 years ago. I had just moved to New York City from a rural town in the Midwest, hoping for a fresh start after a messy breakup and intending to revamp my struggling career as a tax consultant. At 31 years old, I was ready for a change. Settling into my new apartment in Brooklyn, I found myself captivated by the vibrant energy of the city. But amidst the hustle and bustle, it was Emily, my new neighbor, who truly caught my attention. She was a vision of beauty, and I was instantly smitten. Emily and I hit it off from the start. It was love at first sight for me, and I couldn't believe my luck to have such an attractive girl living next door. We spent hours talking, sharing stories, and getting to know each other. It felt like a dream come true. But then, one night, as I lay in my bed, lost in thoughts of Emily, my phone rang suddenly, jolting me out of my reverie. It was well past midnight, and I was surprised to see Emily's name flashing on the screen. I cleared my throat and answered, eager to hear her voice. But instead of Emily's sweet voice, all I heard was a series of incomprehensible whispers emanating from the other end of the line. I listened intently, trying to make sense of the eerie sounds, but before I could react, the call abruptly ended, leaving me shaken and confused. I tried to call back, but to my bewilderment, the number was now strangely unavailable. Concerned for Emily's well-being, I rushed to her apartment, my heart pounding in my chest. The door was open, ajar, and a sense of dread washed over me as I stepped inside. "Emily?" I called out, my voice echoing in the sparsely furnished apartment. But there was no response. I tried to switch the lights on, but I found out there was no power in the apartment. I switched on my phone's flashlight and continued to investigate. My anxiety grew as I heard strange clicking noises coming from the bathroom. I approached the closed door, my pulse racing. "Emily, are you in there?" I called out, my voice quivering with concern. Still, there was no answer. Without hesitation, I pushed open the bathroom door and stepped inside, pointing the flashlight ahead of me. And there, standing in the shower, was Emily, naked, silent, unmoving. My heart sank as I realized that something was terribly wrong. I called out to her, my voice shaking with fear, but she remained still, her back turned to me. With a trembling hand, I reached out to touch her, but as soon as my fingers made contact, her head detached from her body and fell to the floor with a sickening thud. I recoiled in horror, unable to comprehend what I was seeing. Inside the severed neck, both in the body and in the head, I saw a tangled mess of black wires, writhing and squirming like a nest of snakes. And then, to my astonishment, Emily's head, or whatever that thing was, opened its eyes wide and started staring at me with a cold, lifeless gaze. It then opened its mouth and, with a bone-chilling, distorted voice, began speaking some sort of alphanumeric codes, very rapidly, while a clear fluid emerged from its right ear. I backed away hastily, my mind reeling with shock and disbelief. The situation had become surreal, and I didn't know what to do. A primal instinct urged me to flee. I turned to run, and in that moment my horror just reached a whole new level, as I came face to face with another figure, an exact copy of myself, naked, staring at me with vacant eyes. For a second or two, I was petrified. That thing tried to grab my left wrist, but I was able to dodge its grasp swiftly. With a cry of terror, I pushed past my doppelganger and ran back to my apartment, my heart pounding in my chest. I locked the door and called the police, reporting intruders in my neighbor's apartment. They wouldn't have taken me seriously if I had told them the truth. While waiting for the police to arrive, I heard loud noises coming from Emily's apartment, as if they were moving furniture around. I also realized that, in the chaos of the situation, it hadn't crossed my mind to capture the whole thing with my phone's camera. There was no peephole in my apartment's door, and I surely dared not open the door to take a peek. Instead, I pressed my ear against the door to listen for noises in the hallway outside, but I didn't hear any. When the police arrived, about 15 minutes later, I directed them to Emily's apartment, where they knocked down the door and entered. But, to my surprise, inside there was nothing, no trace of anyone having lived there recently. The property manager confirmed that the apartment had been vacant for months. Moreover, there was nothing in the footage from the building's security cameras to corroborate my account. Despite my insistence on what I had witnessed, the police questioned my sanity, and I was arrested and later committed to a mental asylum. For 8 long months, I was held and drugged on a daily basis, subjected to relentless brainwashing in an attempt to erase the truth from my mind. In the end, I led them to believe that I had given in, so they let me out. Shortly after, I moved to Boston and never spoke about my disturbing experience ever again. I worked odd jobs, just to pay for my rent and food. Nobody would consider me for a career job after my asylum internment. Some months, I had to resort to surviving on cheap dog food to save money for the rent. But even as I tried to move on with my life, the memory of that fateful night continued to haunt me. Then, a year later, I was sitting on a bench at a bus stop after a late-night shift at a slaughterhouse. The street was deserted, no people, no cars. I was taking in the night's fresh air and thinking about my life. Suddenly, I heard footsteps approaching. A woman, probably in her 30s, very attractive, with an unnaturally white complexion, dark hair, business attire, came to take a seat next to me on the opposite side of the bench. I greeted her, but she didn't reply and acted like I wasn't even there. I shrugged it off. A minute or so went by. I was going to light a cigarette when the woman's head turned towards me with a swift mechanical motion and started staring at me. I felt a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. It was the same lifeless stare I had seen that night in Emily's apartment. I sprang from the bench and stumbled backwards, knocking over a trash bin and falling down on my ass. My phone fell out of my pocket and hit the ground, breaking into pieces. Calling for help wasn't an option anymore. As I struggled to regain my footing, I heard other sets of footsteps drawing closer to me from different directions. I could immediately tell they were other fake people by the way they walked. They were out to get me. And there it was, among them, the one looking like me. I ran, as fast as I could, without looking back. I could hear the sound of running footsteps behind me, closing in with alarming speed. I was nearly breathless and feeling lightheaded when a taxi appeared out of nowhere. I shouted and waved at the driver to make him stop, and when he did, I quickly leaped into the car and urged him to hit the gas at once. The cabbie glanced at those things menacingly running towards his taxi and reacted quickly, jamming the accelerator pedal to the floor, the engine revving loudly as the taxi sped away. When I asked the taxi driver why he had immediately trusted me, he explained that amidst the strange crowd sprinting towards the taxi, he had noticed a child and an elderly woman, ruling out the possibility of them being police pursuing a criminal. When he asked me who those people were, I just told him they were not people and advised him to keep the whole incident to himself, for his own safety. He recounted a previous encounter with a customer who appeared peculiar, almost robotic, and mentioned hearing similar strange tales from fellow cabbies. I asked him to take me to a motel outside the city. I departed Boston 2 days later. I've been living in near seclusion for a while now, in middle of nowhere USA, haunted by fear and paranoia, day and night. I'm basically homeless. I had to change my name and cut ties with my family and hometown, as that's the first place where the fake ones would be looking for me. I do small manual jobs here and there, just to earn a piece of bread and a bowl of soup. Last week, one of my customers donated an old used smartphone to me, so I went online and shared this story. I can't help but obsess about these fake people among us. What are they? Where are they from? Are they carrying out some sinister agenda? Could they be slowly replacing real people all over the world? Is there a global conspiracy going on? I urge you, whoever reads this, to stay vigilant and beware of the imposters. The truth may be stranger than you ever dared to imagine. Have you had any run-ins with these entities? Please let me know. Be safe out there.